Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 142, and I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
Not bad, you handsome bastard. How are you?
Yeah, good. The world is starting up again, in Scotland,
Yay!
at least. I'm under the impression that England has started up, probably months ago at this stage, but...
No, there were still some lockdowns and stuff, but then as soon as Boris Johnson realised he couldn't lie his way out of this last thing, he was like, no, we won't isolate anymore.
Yeah.
He's going to do what he's want, just don't vote me out, please.
So yeah, we're back gigging again as of today. So I'll be doing some sound tonight, and
Nice.
actually super busy day. Got this 12:15 now doing the podcast. Got to edit this, render it, upload it. I've got transcription jobs that need doing, and I've got a rehearsal for the Saturn Struts tonight before the gig as well.
Busy boy.
So constantly busy, but you can't complain, can you? If you when you've had nothing for a long time, getting some of that stuff back, you can't be like, oh no, I've got to go and do things.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
It's good busy.
Yeah.
And it's productive busy.
Well, I'd still rather just, be in bed, but playing Demon Souls.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, when I pick Finlay up for school, we're going to play Forza Horizon 5, Fortnite, and Minecraft.
Nice.
Probably. Maybe Roblox. Wait and see.
Nice.
I decided I want to play Forza this morning, and the first thing I said, where's the sheep?
Have you got a wheel?
No, I went to, but I never told you that story, did I? I went to buy one last week, and it turned out the guy was a scammer.
No.
Oh,
What happened?
Oh, this is brilliant, right? So, it was on Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
It was a Logitech G920, which is like a really good one.
So, just to interrupt, what are you playing on?
PC.
Okay.
But it works for the PS4 as well, so that was my logic, was we can get that for whatever PS4 games the Wayne wants to play downstairs, if I get my racing seat or whatever, but also if I decided I wanted to make it like even better graphics than upstairs on the PC.
I've got a wheel upstairs that I can give you before you leave. I think it should work on PC. So.
The Thrustmaster, the Ferrari one?
No.
No, a different one?
Yeah.
Cool, aye, right no bother. Well, anyway, I'll take that there and give Finlay a wee shot at it. Anyway, my plan is to get this one. It came with proper 3 pedals and a
stick,
shifter.
yeah, sure.
So I was like, cool, brilliant, no bother. Guy had it up at a really good price. So we're going for about 250 roughly. The guy was asking 140. I was like, will you take 120, being cheeky as you do? He's like, aye, okay. So that should have been the first warning sign.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay, no bother. So it was in Glasgow. It was in the south side. So I made my way there. I was quite pressed for time as it was. I had been running about like a blue arse fly. I had been all the way out to Bishopton, towards Port Glasgow and whatever else, doing knock up the errands.
Sure.
So I'm on the way back. I know this is a pure long-winded.
So you'd already been there?
No, I hadn't been.
Okay.
I drove past where it was, but I was
Right.
coming there on the way back. I was meeting Nancy for lunch / dinner. And I got a notification on my phone while I was driving saying that the listing had been updated or something. So I stopped, checked my phone, and it said PayPal only. And I'm like, I'll pay PayPal when I get there. That's fine. I don't mind not giving someone cash if they're not sure about it. Means
Sure.
I don't have to go to the cash line. Brilliant. I've had it before where people will say, can you just PayPal me like when you're there, as soon as you've got it in hand?
Okay, yeah, that's
Which
fair.
I'm cool
'Cause
with,
Cash
right?
is less useful to people in this day.
Sometimes, yeah, and I think a couple of people are still quite concerned about handling cash.
Sure.
So that was all I thought was, right, okay, fair enough. The guy even messaged me like, are you still coming? I'm like, I'm still on my way, mate. I'm just running a wee 5 minutes late. I won't be long. Gave him the flat number, blah, blah, blah. So I pulls up outside, stopped, got out. There's a couple other people hanging about the front door of this set of flats. And I'm like, all right. So they start trying to talk to me, and then they're like, are you waiting for so-and-so? And I'm like, no, I'm waiting in so-and-so. And then they're like, oh, are you here to buy this? And it was like a PlayStation 4 controller. And I'm like, no, I'm here to get a steering wheel. But then, like, they were showing me the Facebook account, and they were like, we've been standing here for 15 minutes, and they're not answering. The last thing they said is, can you pay by PayPal before you get here?
Oh.
Right? And I'm like, oh, that's a wee red flag. So I sent a message saying, look, I'm outside. There's other people outside waiting to buy something else from you, supposedly. I'm happy to PayPal you, but I expect to have the item in hand first. No reply, waited a couple of minutes, and I just went, you know what? Fuck this one. Absolute joke.
Yeah.
What a waste of fuel. Fucking time waster. Left. 5 minutes later. Oh, why did you leave? If you were outside, I was about to come down. I was like, well, I waited 10 minutes, pal. Like,
Yeah.
You can come and deliver it to me if you want to. Where are you? And I was like, well, I'm going to Glasgow Fort. Right, okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to the Fort. They went, what's the postcode? I was like, the Glasgow Fort. And I was like, right, if he doesn't know what the fort is, there's a chance he's not in Glasgow.
Sure.
I think he's just picked an address. Anyway,
Yeah.
Went met Nancy, went for a Wagamama's. We're eating, and the guy messaged and says, I'm just 2 minutes away for the fort. I'll be there shortly. Where do you want me to meet you? And I was like, right, I'll get me outside M&S or whatever, right, whatever the shop was next to it. Right, I'm here. Right, okay, what car do you drive? Black Golf. Right, what's your regi plate? Oh, it's a black Golf. I'm like, no, what's your regi plate? And he's like, no, I'm definitely here. I'm like, whereabouts are you? Oh, I'm parked up the back. And I'm like, well, I'm standing outside M&S. You can drive down here. Oh, I can't park in the disabled base. I was like, well, you don't have to park in the disabled base. You can pull up, give me the wheel, and I'll give you the money.
That's a really strange. Yeah.
It gets even worse.
Okay.
So he goes, well, where are you? And I was like, I'm standing outside M&S. He goes, me too. And then he sent me a screenshot from fucking Google Maps, Street View, of him as if he was standing in the middle of the car park, like between the cars in the middle of the road, when the license plates are all blurred out. And I'm like, that is not like taken by your phone, you fucking moron. What are you talking about? Oh, it's my Snapchat. It does that. I'm like, nobody Snapchat does that, you lying prick.
Also, why would you Snapchat a photo and then send the Snapchatted photo to like? Oh, I need to send someone a photo. Better go into Snapchat to take the photo. Like,
it just kept going and like, oh, send me half the money and I'll come with it. And I'm like, I'm not sending you a single fucking penny until you're here. So why would you think I'm going to send you money when you've quite clearly made it obvious you don't know where you are, you don't know where I am, and you've not got a fucking clue how to get here, if you even have it? And he's like, oh, I definitely do have the wheel.
And more importantly, you'd bumped into multiple people that he'd already scammed.
Well, they hadn't paid for anything, but they were
Right,
waiting
okay.
outside the same idea as I was.
I
That's
mean,
not to say other people might not have paid when
well, I was
they've
going
been
to
on the way
say,
and
did you
burrowed away.
ask if they'd paid? Because some of them may well have.
Well, they didn't say as if they had paid, and
Right.
I got the impression more they were getting a bit antsy about waiting rather than they were like angry about having paid and them not turning up.
Right.
But anyway, that
Be
was
careful out there, people. There are
Yes.
lots of people wanting to take advantage. So.
If it seems too good to be true, it probably fucking is. And do not give anyone any single penny of your money until you have it in hand. That guy even said to me, oh, just send it friends and family and you can claim it back. Send it goods and services and you can claim it back if it's fraudulent. I was like, no, why would I send you money for something I know doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Are you fucking mental?
Yeah. It's all well and good having buyer protection and everything, but you know, it can go against you. You can lose in scenarios like that.
Absolutely. And see, at the end of the day, that's just someone who is very intentionally and very happily willing to scam you and PayPal.
Sure.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. So that
Piece
was
of
a bit of a detour, but you know, I think that stuff like that's important. You know, at the core of the show, it's about two mates having a conversation, and some people like to listen to us, and we like to tell them what's going on in our lives, and sometimes those things don't involve guitar, and that's.
Really?
I was thinking you were saying there about if something looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And I wanted to say, but that's you. That's just you, like constantly looking for a deal.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that they were selling for $250, or was that retail price?
No, like they hold value quite well. So
Sure.
even like again, second hand versus retail, they seem to be holding their value quite well. Cheap's probably about £200 for them.
Sure. So yeah, 80 quid less, and you're like, oh, anyway. My point isn't like more for you. My point is you're always looking for a deal. Mike is constantly sending me links to guitars on Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree or whatever, just constantly.
Or amps.
Yeah.
Or
and
cars or
the
pedals.
Vigier you sent me today was a great deal, and I did see that earlier in the week. And I thought, oh, £999 for a Vigier Excalibur Ultra. It's a great price.
Revoltingly cheap, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean that's what I paid for my one brand new, but
That was the shop that was
yeah.
had it for a year or so, was that right?
Yeah, multiple years.
There you
go. But yeah, it was a great deal. But when I saw it, it had already sold. So you sent that to me. Stop sending me fucking guitars. I don't need to buy more guitars.
I will not stop sending you guitars.
I need to not be spending money. I need to be saving money because I've spent too much money on stuff, and also I don't need lots of guitars. I've got some really nice guitars. So
Speaking of really nice guitars,
exactly. This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. And you know what I was saying there before we cut there, I was heading towards that sort of conclusion. Like I've got some really nice guitars, and I don't feel the need for more guitars now. I've got, why? As nice as it would be to say, well, I've got another Vigier in my collection. Like I've got some really nice guitars, and two of them are sat on the wall behind me. The Vigier is a modern rock guitar. I don't need a modern rock guitar. I've got those have got me covered. So
yeah, kind of nailed everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
I was just about to laugh at you actually and just be like, well, I bought a Strat. I don't need anything else, you boomer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not even going to pretend. Well, Davey's got the Strat at the moment. He's doing a setup on it for me because I decided I want to keep with the 11s on it, but it needs a good setup for them. But even then, it just sometimes sounds a bit thin and twangy because I've got, I think, 12s, maybe 13s on the Howard Roberts, the Fusion. And I like the way those sound and feel because here's the sign of how ultimate boomer I've become. I'm actually pre-boomer. What's the generation before the boomers?
Millennials? No, that can't be.
Yeah, exactly. So I listen to so
geriatrics.
I listen to so much like jazz and jazz blues now. Like it's almost exclusively what I've been listening to for months and months on end. That's the sound I hear when I'm improvising, melodies and soloing over things. And studying piano, right?
As if somebody's got like a blanket over the top of the amp, tone rolled right back kind of thing. That's not an insult. I just mean there's not hundreds of attack and treble.
Yeah, not just that, but the way phrases are articulated. So it's guys playing thicker strings, it's playing jazz, there's less vibrato and there's almost never bends. So I'm hearing, and when I improvise, I'm bending significantly less than I used to. So thicker strings they're just glorious for that because if I'm not bending, why do I need the lighter strings? So we'll see. I might
minimal vibrato as well.
Yeah,
be good for keeping sustaining in the heavier strings if you're not doing so much to manipulate it.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how the Strat comes back. But again, I've got so many tools available to me, and they're all set up in different ways to do different jobs. I on the note of the Rusty, I put the video up as you know, and I mentioned that I shredded in there, and I hate the sound of me playing shred now because it's sloppy as fuck. And we talked about how there's some amazing players. Did get a nice comment on that video this week that reminded me of the thing that I do care about, the thing that's really important, which is someone said, first of all, your shred is still outstanding, and I'm happy to back that way and go, it's objectively not. But he said,
take the compliment, Dick.
But most importantly, your vibrato is impeccable. And I'm I've put a lot of time and care and attention into vibrato. Don't neglect your vibrato, boys and girls.
Absolutely.
You need a good, strong vibrato for rock guitar. And even though I might not have the accuracy to do my fast shred licks anymore, you never lose that vibrato. So
that's it, man.
Get vibrating.
So it's all about the style. I was talking to Andy Torrance. Hi, Andy. About Mr. Scary, George Lynch.
Sure. And
he sent me a couple of links, and he was like, he just never sits on the note. He always does like wee tiny bends, and he's got funny vibrato and stuff. And I've never gave George Lynch much of a listen, but never got my hackles up. But it's funny you say how important like vibrato is, because that was the first thing I thought was, I really hope he's not one of these guys that just doesn't do well when it comes to bending strings. And
oh no, definitely not. He's like iconic vibrato.
That's good then.
Yeah.
I'll I never gave it much of a listen. I never got a chance to listen to the track that he sent me, and I'd never gave Dawkins or George Lynch or that much of a listen before. So I was like, the way that Andy described it there, I was like, oh, I really hope this isn't going to be like one of the guys that just doesn't hit the note, just bends everywhere. But apparently not.
No, he's I say iconic. It is that kind of really deliberate, tone wide, controlled vibrato. Is you can kind of pin it back to guys like George Lynch and Eddie Van Halen, and that's a big part of my vibrato study. When I was studying with Martin Goulding, we had to religiously practice and study this very controlled, deliberate, tone wide vibrato, so we could pull it out and make it sound authentic when we were doing it on things. And yeah, George is just one of the guys for that. I'm not a big fan of George's playing. I know Connor is also a massive George Lynch fan. Some people have different different tastes to me, but such is life. Speaking of which, speaking of different tastes, I know not one for either you or me, but I thought it was probably making mention of the fact that Robert Paulson died.
His name was Robert
His
Paulson.
right name was Robert Paul. Meatloaf died at 74.
Bob no longer has bitch tits.
Yeah.
It's pretty gutting, to be honest, isn't it? I say gutting. I don't listen to him much, but at the same time, he's a cultural icon.
Yeah, that was the point. He's just. I think you and I are going to know him significantly more for his roles that he had in films. That's where the split is, isn't it? For us, we're going to say Robert Paulson. We're going to say Fight Club, whereas Melissa's going to say Rocky Horror.
I would even go one further and say the 51st State when he plays the Lizard.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the character's name, isn't it? The Lizard?
I believe so.
He's like the head honcho.
Yeah.
Aye. Interesting chap. Or the time where was it Avid Marion started trying to wind him up on the red carpet and he just sung at him. And basically sung like, well, fuck you! Something like in his face.
Yeah.
Something absolutely amazing.
He's a fascinating character.
Aye.
But I think the best way to describe him, you probably agree with me on this, is Meatloaf is that singer that regardless of what music your mum listened to, your mum liked Meatloaf.
Aye. my fucking gran and grandad. Gran and papa loved him.
Sure.
But like a bat out of hell, he'll be gone when the morning comes.
Inevitably for people like us, it's kind of old man boomer music. But that's really unfair because his music was solid. It was
absolutely.
It was really solid. And to have as much success as he did, despite not being the prototypical thing that you would expect to be marketable.
Mm-hmm.
A large man, he was enough of a character that he just pulled it off, which is kind of cool.
Did you ever hear the stories about being a total prima donna about his shows and stuff?
No, but I can believe it.
I supposedly, like, if something went wrong on stage, he would do what he could, and then as soon as he came backstage, he would have like a tantrum, like rolling about on the floor and shit, and slamming doors and hiding in his trailer and whatever else. It was members of my old band.
Right.
Had watched a documentary about him and we decided that anybody that was having a bad day or like started moaning about anything was meatloafing. You been a fucking meatloaf again? Yeah. Or whinging because like the amp wasn't working or whatever at a gig.
I feel I should put some time to listen to some Meatloaf, put some time aside to listen to some Meatloaf, but also at the same time, there's a lot of music out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to suddenly get into Meatloaf when the music that I'm listening to is just further and further away from things that have overdrive. But such is life. Such is life.
Boomer.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this actually segues quite well on into the next story. I should probably say with Meatloaf, I'm surprised that it wasn't Tim Curry that did it. This isn't guitar related at all, but it was on Ultimate Guitar, and I thought this was after talking about an old person on the last episode. I thought that this was quite cool. So this is a piano story, but as I say, it was on Ultimate Guitar. I don't read piano news websites or anything like that.
I don't think there are such a thing, is there?
Yeah, although it's my main focus and all my attention goes on my piano study these days. I'm trying not to be the piano equivalent of how guitar players act.
Right.
I don't want it to be part of a toxic community of piano players. That's no thank you. In the same way that we know guitar players do. So 97-year-old pianist and last surviving Rachmaninoff pupil signs a new record deal.
That's fucking wild, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it's never too late.
I'll let you have a wee read.
Sure. For the past couple of years or so, we got used to hearing and reading bad news on the music industry. Tour postponements and cancellations, venues going out of business, and people in the industry losing their jobs. It's really a grim state at the moment. But there's always some super wholesome stuff, right? Well, pianist Ruth Slinchiska, maybe? Let's say Slinchiska, brings back hope to every dedicated musician today, no matter the genre. A former child prodigy and a last living pupil of the almighty Sergei Rachmaninoff has signed a new record deal on January the 14th. As reported by Classic FM, that ultimate rock outlet, and plenty of other outlets.
Slenzniska.
Ruth will be releasing an album through Decca Classics titled My Life in Music. It still doesn't have a precise release date, but it's planned to come out later in 2022. What's also really impressive is that this marks the continuation of her 9-decade-long career. Ruth was born in 1925 in California to a family of Polish immigrants. She had a live debut in Berlin at the age of 4. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Well, And that's a real.
And there's an actual video of that.
That's like a real lifetime of music, isn't it?
Yeah. So we don't need to go all that much further into the story, but again, this is, I think, the Guitar Souls appreciation of old people. I would like to sit down and have a conversation with this woman because I bet she's got some stories.
Oh, no doubt, man.
Especially, being a pupil of Rachmaninoff. That's cool.
It's quite significant.
Yeah, I think any sort of legacy. I don't see 50 years from now people being like, oh, I'd love to sit down and talk to one of Levi Clay's students.
You never
Because
know.
I'll never have the impact that someone like Rachmaninoff would have. So yeah,
You just need to start scoring your own music.
yeah, that is true. Score some hits. I need to. That's what I need.
That's it.
I really need to do. Okay, let's jump on
Get fugued or die trying.
to this. Okay, so I completely fucked up. Actually, we were supposed to listen to this before the show.
Right.
So we will listen to this while we're recording,
Okay.
and I'll just have to cut the audio out of the show.
Sure.
So we can get the thoughts on it. So
Interesting.
have a read.
Yes, Matt Heafy's black metal band, Ibaraki, debuts first song with Hassan.
Now I know you're a big Hassan fan, so
That'd be
I thought-
interesting, aye.
Yeah.
At long last, Ibaraki, the new black metal band from Trivium's Matt Heafy, also featuring Emperor legend Hassan, have delivered on years of promise of music with their debut song, Tamashi no Hokai, has arrived. It means the breaking of the soul or the soul collapse. It's a Japanese term that didn't exist before, but one we forced to reflect the song's meaning, said Heafy of the band's dynamic first offering.
So what do you mean it's a Japanese term
That didn't exist.
that didn't exist?
So what you mean
So
is
it's
it something
not-
you've made up but you've said it in Japanese?
So I'm just looking for the. So we're gonna just quickly listen to this, guys, and then we'll let you know what we thought. Yeah. So what do we
Meh.
think about? Not for you. Not for you.
It just sounds like Hassan solo music, but with Matt Heafy singing over it.
Well, I'll be a bit more complimentary than that, just because I didn't know what I was expecting when I listened to this. But black metal isn't a sound that I really go for.
Mhm.
Well done, it's not offensive to my ears in the way that a lot of black metal often I find to be.
Yeah, early black metal with the production value is essentially everything's recorded through one microphone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But and I can define black metal more now. You can hear it clearly. Apparently, it's play single note riffs and just make sure you tremolo pick them.
Sounded like that for this, aye.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm giving it a tough time, but I can see a lot of our audience being into it, so I'll just bring up the artwork for it because, of course, horse corpse paint.
There was a time at the time that I played in a gig in a coffee. It was a beer hall, not a coffee hall, in Belgium, and they had a bust of Jesus' head that somebody had corpse painted, and they had Mardi Gras beads around them
Nice.
and a cowboy hat. It was fucking banging, absolutely banging.
Fantastic. Yeah, guys, take a spin of this album and let us know what you think. It's just occurred to me I didn't even check if we had fan mail. I should.
What is this man like?
I know
You've got enough on. I know. I understand. You're a busy boy. You're a busy,
Okay.
busy boy.
Oh, we got some. We do have some stuff to read. So I'll take a quick look at these shortly.
Ew.
Yeah. So write us. Let us know what you think of that. Etc. Etc. Let's move on and
Yes, let's not talk about Trivium anymore.
let's not talk about Steve Vai yet. Oh, this is kind of a nice story.
Yeah, this is a really cool story. Guitar is now employee owned. I saw Robert posting about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. The UK's biggest guitar retailer restructures with 60% of its shares placed in employee ownership trust, which is pretty cool. Guitar has been placed in the hands of 160 employees, with the majority 60% stake in the UK's biggest guitar retailer now held in an employee ownership trust, which is also known as an EOT. Headquartered in the outskirts of Glasgow, with 6 retail locations across the UK.
I didn't realise Guitar was headquartered in Glasgow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it might even be Scotbride, because it came from Sound Control, which
Okay.
I believe was a Scottish company as well, because it was when Sound Control went out of business, Guitar and Kenny's Music
Right.
became the two entities that kind of survived after it.
Okay.
Kenny's Music has the store in Glasgow that used to be Sound
Sure.
Control, and I believe Guitar bought all the stock that they had.
Right.
And then they ended up having like the biggest stock holding in the UK of any guitar company. Anyway, Headquartered on the outskirts of Glasgow with 6 retail locations across the UK, Guitar was founded in 2004 by Graham Bell and Kip McBay. They made the move to restructure the business and move towards an employee ownership model to allow them to leave the company without threatening its direction. We've spent the last 20 years building a brand that we are wholeheartedly passionate about, said Bell. We wanted to ensure the business means something to future owners when our time comes to take a step back. The employee ownership model is similar to that used by home retail entertainment retailer Richer Sounds. But Guitar is the first musical instrument retailer in the UK to adopt it. Bell believes it's more a move that benefits both staff and customers. Not only did we want to reward staff for their efforts at the company, but we also wanted to ensure the customers will always be front and centre. He said, every experience a customer has at Guitar will now be with someone who is invested in and committed to delivering outstanding service to musicians.
I think that's probably enough.
Aye, that's something pretty fucking banging.
Yes, it's I can't say that it's not good news. You know, it's good news. Even though I bag on Guitar.
I was going to say it's quite funny for you to talk nice about them.
Yeah, the whole kind of fuck. It was really fuck Fender.
Of course it was.
I do acknowledge that it was Fender that fucked up the Brent Mason, not the Guitar. They didn't fuck it up. They just couldn't be upfront about the fact that Fender was fucking it. They thought that they could just keep me on the line for a little bit longer. And there are some people that you can keep on the line, but it's in your interests to know your customer, to know who can be kept on the line.
I think if Fender had even just been straightforward about it, things would have been much better.
But that's exactly the issue that I had with that Brent Mason. I don't know the situation. I don't know if Fender were honest with Guitar and Guitar decided to try and keep me on the line, or if Fender were fucking Guitar around and essentially saying, "Oh, you'll have him next week. Oh, you'll have him next week," over and over.
Can almost guarantee that's what it would have been.
Sure.
Well, like just being in a total personal side of view, a point of view, like it's no Robert style or anybody else at the store really like that. I wouldn't expect they would want to try and hang you on and then. No. For the sake of one sale, lose you as a long-time customer.
Yeah, but that's where the issue came in, isn't it? It's like if I was dealing with Robert on that, Robert would have got the information that I wanted and given it to me. Mm-hmm. Whereas because I was dealing with just generic, nameless, faceless people via email or via their messenger, they didn't know who they were dealing with. They didn't know the customer.
I thought you'd sorted it out through the shop.
No,
that's my misunderstanding.
No.
Okay,
and it's not that I hate the place. My Nord keyboard came from there, and I'll be getting another Nord from there. So, I just had to let people know, I had a bad experience.
It happens.
Part of it was Guitar, and part of it was Fender. But I'm happy that they've moved in this direction. Definitely not a bad thing. Good for them.
Yes.
All right, tell me about this.
That's a really interesting one. Was it you that was at the Megadeth gig where loads of phones get nicked?
You were at that.
I wasn't at that.
Oh, I know Kendo was at that.
Exactly. I wasn't. But I thought maybe you went with him. No. I believe Nancy was there actually.
Yes.
It was before I was really seeing her as well, roughly when we just first met. Anyway, you'll remember the story about this. At the Braehead Arena when Megadeth played, it was Lamb of God were supporting, I believe, and the amount of people who came forward saying their phones had been stolen was outrageous. Obviously, there's a concerted effort for certain gigs, certain venues, certain shows for whatever reason. And I can't imagine that being an easy crime to find the right person, the culprit. However, here seems to be a good example of these horrible people and the lengths they will go to basically just to fuck people over. So a human deposit box stashed more than 50 phones stolen at a gig in a body-length swimming costume, police have said. Alan Marin, 22, of no fixed address, took the phones during a Royal Blood performance at the Arena Birmingham on 18th of November. West Midlands police said Marin stole 53 phones from people in the mosh pit, then hid them in the swimsuit. The construction worker was jailed for 3 years after admitting theft at Birmingham Crown Court on Monday. The force said it had information that thieves had targeted fans of the band in performances earlier this year, and undercover officers were in the crowd that night. It seems to be, obviously not an opportunist. Just look at this guy.
Yeah, let's.
There is no, stupid as he looks, that's well planned.
Yeah. Annoyingly, they've not posted the full picture, but yeah, he's wearing an outfit here that you can stash tons of phones inside of. Fuck this guy.
Fuck that guy indeed. And when you're at gigs, pals, make sure that you're keeping all your stuff safe, keep them in your pockets, they're zipped. Don't have anything on you that you're not comfortable with losing, especially if you're jumping about the pit and stuff.
Sure.
And Be sure to challenge people that seem to be fucking acting weird round about you. Report them to the security.
I've only ever had my phone stolen from me once. Though, to be fair, I think most people should be able to say I said it there almost like, well, everybody's had their phone stolen multiple times, and I've been lucky. It only happened to me once. Actually, it wasn't even my phone. My girlfriend, we were out years and years ago. She had way too much to drink. So she was trying to send a text on her phone, and she dropped it on the floor and cracked the screen. So I was like, fuck's sake. So I picked the phone up and put it in my back pocket. I was like, I'll look after it. And then within 5 minutes, it had been stolen out of my pocket. And I should have immediately known what had happened, because a group of drunk people came up behind us in a kind of partying fashion, and were dancing and put their arms around our shoulders and dancing along the street with us. And it's like, okay, yes, I see what you've done here. Very
classic misdirection.
Very smart, very smart. So be careful. Don't let people come near you. Though, of course, that's pretty easy in COVID times. Speaking of, how do we do this? Speaking of people that will take advantage of you if given the opportunity, Andy Summers on his iconic police Telecaster. It would be $1 million if anyone wants to buy it.
Is this real, to be fair? Summers originally bought the guitar for $200. He also revealed how much he made from the Police's reunion tour.
Yeah.
It's only published an hour ago.
Sure.
On Music Radar by Rob Lang. So let's just in case this is a total ridiculous clickbait headline.
It will be a throwaway comment that he's made, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes, the rest of the sentence makes a big difference. It's pretty safe to say Andy Summers is a musician who isn't short on capital. Indeed, in a new interview with The Telegraph around the theme of finances, he reveals just how much he made from the Police's reunion tour. Spoiler, a lot.
I want to punch Rob Lang in the face right now. What do you mean, spoiler a lot? If you're going to spoil it, give us the fucking answer. This shit like this is really starting to annoy me, right? I see more and more stories I'm going on a rage time now. I see more and more stories on my Facebook now where, like, one of these parasitic fucking clickbait websites will have, like, I don't know, you won't believe what Robert Downey Jr. looks like since getting ready for his new role in a film, and then the picture that they'll use will be, what you think of Robert Downey Jr. as. And it's like, why do I need to click on this article? If you actually care about giving me this information, if you really don't think I'll believe, why not just use the image from the article?
Because then I don't get advertising revenue.
Exactly. Fucking parasites. Just get to the fucking point. Why do people have to, like, beat around the bush when it comes to giving people news and information? You've spoiled it by not fucking spoiling it.
But it's not super important user information, you lunatic. Calm down.
No, I will not calm down.
It's more a personal interest piece, Christ almighty. But the guitarist also mused on his most iconic instrument, the highly modified 63 Fender Telecaster, including what it would take for him to part with it. When asked what the best thing he's ever bought was, Summer replied, "My Fender Telecaster I went into the police with. The guitar became iconic and was absolutely my guitar that was identified with me. A kind of hybrid Telecaster I bought off a kid in LA for $200. It would be $1 million if anyone wants to buy it," added Summers. "But to sell it would be like giving away your soul." Right, yeah. That's enough.
Yeah, so it's not an ad for the guitar. We know it obviously wasn't an ad for the guitar. No, it's obviously not enough, right? Because we need this number, don't we? We need to know how much he got paid.
Yes.
How much he made.
They couldn't pay rent. They were skint. Blah blah blah. There's no chance.
Oh, I don't think they've put it in there. They didn't put that. Oh no, $1 million a night. There we go.
Oh,
150 nights.
That was a reunion tour. I was the highest paid guitarist in the world during the reunion tour. I got $1 million a night and we did 150 nights. Someone's got to do the job. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh, what a hard stint.
Yeah.
I better put my fucking effects on and play an hour's music.
I bet he's still raging about the fact that he doesn't make royalties on licenses for every breath you take. You know, that guitar sample that gets used because Sting owns the song. All right.
I'll tell you what, Andy, I'll play one of your gigs and you just give me your Telecaster.
This popped up on Discord. People were talking about these Monty's guitar pickups, the Bethnal Green humbuckers,
right?
Which are...
I've actually heard the Monty's pickups and I've heard good things.
Yeah.
They're hand wound, aren't they?
Yeah. Apparently this first run of Peter Green pickups has sold out immediately. I just thought I'd bring attention to this because how much? Take a guess. These two Peter Green humbuckers.
Right. Okay. I haven't seen the price, but I'm assuming they're going after the market of obviously people who want that authentic vintage, wound with the right materials, wankery. Not wankery. Maybe a bit shitty. But I'm going to assume this will be bare knuckle plus. So let's say $350 for a pair.
You are off base on that one. $4.49.
Are you right?
£100 more.
Okay, hold me back. I can get fucking 2 sets of Seth Lovers for that.
Yeah, we had, and that's what the discussion in the Discord server was about. People were saying, like, how much? That's an insane amount of money for pickups. That's just too much. That's too much. That's almost the price of. All right, not quite. It's getting on. It's probably 2/3 of the price of what the guitar would have cost originally when it came out. You know what I mean?
I think this is also a paid for advert that's been genuinely craftily made to look like an article about the pickups, because the very last line is a link about how you can get more affordable pickups directly for their website.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a true article in terms of giving a independent.
Oh, what? So once again, we're criticising the ethics of journalists,
Yes,
and the way news is presented to you.
Yes.
In this
But
day and age. Shock fucking horror.
If this is that, then it has to be advertised as such, has to be marketed as such, and there has to be a clear notice for people who are reading it that it is advertorial.
Well, that is absolutely correct. But also at the same time, in order for anybody to do anything about that, you'd have to be able to prove that this was actually a paid for ad.
Cool. Did Music Radar take any money from Monty's guitars for this, or are they getting a fee for selling any pickups through that link? Affiliates, whatever. That's what would make the difference, I suppose, to finding that out.
Yeah, we'd have
anyway,
to do that.
Who cares? £450 for a set of old shitty humbuckers? Aye, fucking bite me.
Yeah.
You use period correct parts. Aye, good for you. Old shit parts. Great.
But
technology gets better as time goes on because we get better materials, better quality equipment, better machines.
But of course, if you do want to go that route of, but I want these pickups to be like those old original ones, you can't say, oh, well, we're using the same wire that was used those 50 years ago. We've got the original wires and whatever, the original fucking, I don't know, the original bobbins. It really doesn't matter. When those pickups were originally made, they were new. They were made with new materials. They weren't made with aged materials. So there's just no reason for £449 for a set of humbuckers.
I mean, the market clearly argues differently to what you've got to say. The fact that they're nearly sold out.
Yes, I mean they did sell out.
Well, there you go. But
we're essentially making the argument for you. Like, we could happily make the argument that there's no need for bottled water.
Of course,
for the markups that people pay for bottled water. It is a massively successful.
Plectrons.
Yeah, it's a massively successful industry, bottled water. But at the same time, there's no need for it. There really is no need for it.
Well, not in Scotland. Certain countries are definitely is.
Sure, yeah, but in the developed world, there should be no need for you to be paying horrendous amounts of. You can buy milk for less money than you can buy bottled water for. Bottled water. I did this.
Bottled water.
A bottled water.
A water bottle. A bottle.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump on to do a quick bit of fan mail.
Yes.
Because I had a quick scan through these.
Ooh.
So let's quickly jump on Phil Roof's email.
Hi Phil, thanks for writing in. I've been watching this girl on TikTok lately. She reads things with a comically boring Kentucky accent. Not my accent, I live in the big city. Last night I was skimming through the latest Metal Hammer. I was telling my wife about some of the names of bands and I thought these were funny. Then I started reading the band and album names in the voice of that Kentucky girl from TikTok. Imagine how loud I laughed when the next band was Party Cannon. I told my wife that this band is that Scottish sounding guy on the guitar podcast. No, not the one I started a dumb fucking argument with. That's the one that sits on the right with the heavy accent. Then I read her mind. She was thinking, why the hell would the name a band Party Cannon? She asked, does that mean penis? I told her I hadn't thought of that. She asked why they would have a band name of that. I had to explain that maybe the name wasn't meant to be totally serious. Anyway, please pass my congratulations on an extremely favourable review of the new album. Wait until I listen when I'm at work with headphones. My wife is cool as fuck, but I have a feeling it might not be her favourite music. That's fair, Phil. It's not really MD's favourite music, if we're totally honest.
I feel that...
Nancy was actually telling me this the other day. She had... somebody at her work was like... She was letting them hear the album, and then it was like, so do you like this type of music? And Nancy was like, nah, not really. Fuck you too.
We're just gonna hear this this Kentucky accent so people know.
Cut the crap salon. Anita haircut. Deja do. Peaky barbers.
Party Cannon.
Party Cannon. It is not an allegory for penis, actually.
No.
It is, and this is some Party Cannon lore for you. Some of the back story. Stoney, the vocalist, bought a confetti cannon for his dad's birthday, and it was the shape of like a champagne bottle, and it said Party Cannon on the label. So came to the birthday, happy birthday, and he twisted it to fire off, and it never went off. And he was like, what a fucking anticlimax. And he thought, this band's an anticlimax. This is like the opposite of what people are going to think. Party cannons are a great name for the band.
Yeah.
And that became part of the band. So there you go. Small world.
Ryan J writes in.
Gents, wanted your opinion on custom shop and high-end guitar builds for beginners. Mostly, do you think beginner to intermediate players can actually tell when they're playing guitars that are custom shops versus well-built import models? Recently, I was able to try a custom shop Jackson and I couldn't tell the difference from my Mim Jackson Dinky. I'm an intermediate level player at best, and after the experience, I realised that I'm really not able to feel the minute differences that make a high-end guitar worth the price difference. I know a shitty guitar from a good one, but not a good one from a great one. Thoughts? Also, so psyched to see Party Cannon in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Hearing you guys raid off the States when Mike was saying the tour locations had me dying laughing. New Charlotte is North Carolina. Yes, thanks Ryan. Thank fuck somebody knows what they're doing. I'm useless. And I come and say hello, man. We'll get a beer or whatever. To answer your question, in my mind, I don't think there is all that much of a difference if a guitar's well set up.
Yeah.
Because you can get, and this is probably your experience as well from when you were younger, almost everybody that was in the beginner circuit but took playing guitar serious had an Ibanez or a Jackson that they replaced hardware or pickups on.
Yeah.
And you had a solid fucking guitar for years.
Yep, absolutely.
I had a wee cheap RGE 350 that had some DiMarzios in it.
Sure.
And it was an absolute nailer. Some of the pickups were, it was wired normal 5-way and into that push-pull, but rather than it being for coil taps, it was phase switching.
Right.
And it ended up making it sound like more like a Strat than my mate's Strat and weird stuff. But it was just a cheap, run-of-the-mill Korean Ibanez. So I think the things that you would probably find that are different are fancier hardware. Like some of them you'll get like the Hipshot open back tuners on like the really nice acoustics and stuff. Maybe better hardware in terms of more expensive pickups or more expensive bridges or trems. Yep. Nicer pieces of wood and nicer finishes.
Yep.
And
you might have slightly neater fret edges and things like that. These are
again,
things
QC.
that ultimately you're not gonna notice as a beginner or intermediate player. To be honest, even as an advanced player, it doesn't bother me that I have some guitars that are a little bit rough around. You know, they're the high-end import versus $4,000 custom shop instruments. It's just not that important. You on a high-end custom shop instrument, you're going to expect the level of detail when it comes to the setup of the instrument to be immaculate. So you would expect perfect action and near perfect intonation, etc. To something that's going to be immediately playable to that high level, and you might not get the same sort of thing on a well-built import model. But of course, that's solvable by taking your guitar to somebody that knows what they're doing with it, so they can get it playing right, get it in that perfect state of setup. Yes. And it makes sense when you think about it. On the if you run a guitar company and you are having guitars imported, Ibanez, let's use them as an example. They're made in a factory and they're set up by somebody in that factory, but nobody that works in that factory is a master craftsman, and you don't want to be paying a master craftsman with experience in setting guitars up perfectly for professional musicians. You don't want to be paying someone like that to have to do every single guitar, because it would cost you an absolute fucking fortune. What you're going to get out of the factory will be good enough. I always take the attitude of good enough isn't. I had a friend just recently ask me, he's got some £700 to spend on an electric guitar, new electric guitar. And I gave him some recommendations. He said, I'm looking at this, and he was always pushing his budget to the £700 mark. And I was like, I'll be honest, look at spending $650. Spend $650 and then take the leftover money and give it to a really good tech, and then it's going to be set up in a way where that £750 guitar is going to play like a much more expensive guitar. So that would be advice. So I'm with you on this one, Ryan. I don't think that I mean it's a huge difference. I mean there is a huge difference, but not an important one, not a noticeable one.
I think the difference in value probably isn't monetary. It's probably more like, I don't even want to say sentimental, but if you're getting a custom shop instrument for you, for example, then it's going to definitely be absolutely hands-on for you, So that's maybe where the difference is, but 9 times out of 10, as Levi said, the setup is the big part of it.
Sure.
Really the big part of it. Sean McBride also wrote in.
Final bit.
All right, lads, it's been a little while since I've written in, just to spite both of you for no winning the Ormsby. You couple of fannies. Chewing the Fat reference there for you, Mike. Levi knows about Chewing the Fat as well,
Yeah,
although he
yeah.
picks Still Game over Chewing the Fat.
Yep.
Weirdo. I'm kidding, of course. I've been loving the podcast and been listening to some of the new Party Cannon album, which has been fantastic to listen to, even though I'm not in the IQ lowering slam mindset at the moment. That's the beautiful thing. You don't ever need to be in the mindset for you to have your IQ lowered. As soon as you put it on, that's you. You will be hurt. Whether you feel it or not, you will be hurt. My question to you guys is this. What was the last band or artist that's greatly affected your approach to either playing or writing? Levi, I'm sure you've got several that you could list due to the fact you're so fucking good at the country thing, the shred thing, and the stuff you're now playing with Melissa. For me, it's been discovering the Finnish band Sonata Arctica and
Great
the German
band.
metal opera band Avantasia, which has made me really evaluate my musical identity and the songs I've written over the past few years. As always, cheers for the podcast. It's at this point the only one I actually listen to, so thank you genuinely. You're proud from the other side of Scottish friendliest motorway. It's the M8, by the way, Sean McBride. Thanks, Sean. Very kind.
Yeah. Sonata Arctica are a great band.
Yeah.
If you've gone down that route and you like Sonata Arctica, I'm going to recommend that you check out Advance, because Advance are an outrageously good band in a similar vein, German band, and Olaf Lenk is their guitar player, and he is immaculate. So check those guys out.
I've heard of them before. I'm pretty sure I've seen them in a few bills that Party
Yeah.
Cannon have either been playing or going to play.
So you're totally right. Like, obviously, I could list off so many different artists that have had that kind of influence on me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever about the artist, though. You know what I mean? Like, Brad Paisley pushed me off into the country thing, or I guess Brent Mason before Brad Paisley pushed me off down that route. You know,
Mhm.
Joe Pass pushed me off down a jazz route. What was the thing that really kind of hit me with the kind of soul thing? I don't think it really was.
Hearing me sing in the shower, wasn't it?
I don't think it was an artist, particularly. Maybe just some of the Stax record stuff, like Otis Redding. These are all just sounds that I've always had an interest in, and I think that's the kind of the answer to this, right? I could list off several, but it's not the artist. It's the fact that I am really, really interested in that kind of jack of all trades thing, like being not necessarily an expert at things, but being very proficient in lots of different things. And therefore it's very easy to hear something and go, that's cool, and be tempted over by it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I literally want to do everything. I have no interest in playing like flamenco music, for example. I'm not interested in general kind of world music sounds. I've got sounds that interest and appeal to me, and therefore it's easy to be lured away. Whereas I imagine with you, it's a lot less that, you know, I was looking for a country musician that was going to get me really excited about country music.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think any amount of me playing country artists, one of them is going to make you go, oh yeah, this is for me. This is what I want to do now.
I really like Brad Paisley's playing, but I
Sure.
don't think it would get me necessarily down the route of listening to every country artist you can imagine, or like the major charts or whatever. So I think you're right that way. But I mean, all it would take is something enough to pique my interest. I don't think it's necessarily bands or artists that greatly affect my approach to playing or writing or whatever, but I think it's often people who challenge what I'm used to, or what music that challenges what I'm used to, and people who can either create beauty out of madness or create madness out of beauty, or like just kind of pushing the boundaries, not necessarily breaking the rules. I don't mean completely avant-garde, but like Scar Symmetry, for example. There's a lot of melodic or kind of progressive techie death metal bands, whatever you want to call it, with symphonic elements and lots of melody. Funny we're talking about Sonata Arctica and stuff there, but I felt as if Scar Symmetry were the band that kind of broke my perception of melodic death metal.
Yep.
Because so many bands sound the same in that kind of style, genre, field, but they brought out so much more. There's so many different textures to the music, like every song's a bit different. The solos are wild.
Sure.
Lots of interesting melody. Some it's really normal, some it's quite complex, some it's easy to follow. People like Mr. Bungle, you've just got absolute lunacy going on, but it's still music.
Yeah.
Other side, the heaviness is like Meshuggah. They were pushing a lot of the metric modulation feel and the vibes of just basically playing genuine brain-hurting music.
I'm going to steer you in a different direction on this one,
Right.
actually. And the reason I'll do this is because what I've seen from you over the last 3 or 4 years is it may have been the case before,
Mm-hmm.
but if it was, I didn't know it. It's become a lot more apparent. You listen to a lot more pop and
Mhm.
hip hop influence things.
Mhm,
I know a lot of that comes from like hanging around with Nicky Callahan, guys like that, where they'll play things that are outside your circle.
Mhm.
Could you think of any examples in there that have just kind of really made you go, "Oh, this is cool. I'm going to listen to more stuff like this."
Charlie Puth was one, fun enough, like, because obviously I played Boy to You and like, you heard the wee synth solo in it, and you were like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I was like, that's fucking amazing, that's so good. For it being
Oh
a
no,
pop
it's really
song."
cool. It's really cool.
Is it just
It's a bit overproduced for me, but
it's a flash in the
it's
pan,
still
but it's
great.
cool.
It's a really nice. It's a great tune.
yeah, that full album's really good. I really, really enjoy it. And I definitely have been listening to a lot more pop. And I think what I've been listening to or being conscious of is that a lot of mainstream pop now is getting better producers, better writing, more interesting chord progressions. And you can shoot me if you want. I'm pretty sure Maroon 5 were one of the first bands that started people coming out of everything just being a minor or a major song, actually putting in different chords, a tiny wee flair of...
I keep saying it time and time again. I have all the time in the world for Maroon 5 up until a certain point, and I'll never forget that episode of the show we did. Couldn't tell you what number it was, where you turned around and said, "Who's Maroon 5's guitarist, for example?" And I'm immediately just like, James Valentine. Boom. Because
I deserve that one.
when those first couple of albums came out, like it was really, really fucking cool to hear some really cool stuff going on with the songwriting. There was jazz and soul influences in there. Maroon 5 actually might be one of the influences actually of where that kind of love of less rock influenced stuff that maybe took me down a slightly different path, because there's a lot of jazz harmony going on. But I don't mean like complex jazz harmony, but just, using seventh chords.
Even the chords in This Love, it's a fairly basic song and you can sing along with the melody because it's easy, but it's not like a super boring version of what it could have been.
Yeah.
Like, the root notes could have been just a scrub along basic fucking full chords, but they aren't.
Well, yeah, because if you listen to James, he's hammering out a diminished chord as the main voicing that he's playing on that tune. It's a diminished seventh voicing that he's playing, and it's just so wasn't what I was expecting. I remember it was in Guitar Techniques years and years ago. I had no interest in Maroon 5, but I was like, okay, let's take a look at this song, because I was looking at the tab for it. And I'm like, oh, don't know these chords. These are like some wild looking chords. And just immediately I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, this stuff is, I think of this as old music, old harmony, but it's been snuck into pop in a way that's totally not really noticeable, and that's really, really kind of cool to me.
And now Maroon 5 are putting fucking writing credits on Pachelbel's Canon on one of their songs. That's where we're at now, unfortunately.
Yeah, they definitely took a dive. I'm going to keep saying it won't be soon before long, which is the second Maroon 5 album. Well worth checking out. Really love that album. Should we move on?
Yeah, sounds good. I thought that was a really, really interesting, really good question. Thanks very much for that, Sean. And it opened up a lot more conversation than I expected.
Yeah. As always, please do write more fan mail into GsolesFanMail@gmail.com.
Any music that piques your interest enough to make you look for more, or you don't understand what's going on and gives you that wee tiny lust of, I want to work out what's happening.
Sure.
I think is good.
A couple of bits of Steve Vai quickly to go through. I know. Yeah. I found it really strange that all the news outlets were talking about and promoting his new Hydra, that 3-neck guitar, because Ibanez released a 1-minute video just panning a camera over it, and they're like, oh my god, check out Steve's new guitar. Do you guys not remember when you were writing stories about this guitar last month?
Yeah, that we were talking about.
We covered it on the show.
But
So
now we
that's
get
not
to talk
news.
about how it's even uglier. Now that it's
point.
even closer.
Fair point.
It's got fucking tubes built into it. It's got an Ethernet cable
Yeah.
in and out. Like, fucking put it in the bin.
Okay, so this story, really we're going to be talking about Vi postponing tours, but I thought this story, Steve Vai reflects on the Generation X tour and explains why nobody can play like Yngwie Malmsteen.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
I thought that was quite interesting. So no one can touch Malmsteen when it comes to hyperkinetic neoclassical guitar. Here's the quote.
I can't play like Yngwie. Nobody can play like him, said Vi. What I did was take the harmony or melody of the song and play it the way I would do it. I was challenging because there was a lot of little fast runs with his fingerings and his tonal centre, which is different than mine. Vi said it took work to get the part together, but one of the biggest lessons from the Generation X tour was that the competition was limited to each playing being the best they could be. Nobody can play like me. Nobody can play like anybody. That's not true. Guthrie Govan can play like anybody. And that's been proven by the fact they've got that wee fucking, whatever it's called, was it the Talk Guitar Jam or something
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the CD?
Yeah. Also, nobody can play like Ingve. I mean, Joe Stump can play like Ingve.
So nobody
Yeah.
can be a perfect replication.
Sure.
Plenty of people can do it well.
Yeah.
A lot of people do your sound, Vi. No disrespect to you. A lot of people want to do your sound.
Yeah.
Anyway, nobody can play like me. Nobody can play like anybody, said Vi. As to playing against each other, I'm Steve and he's Ingve. That's one of the greatest things about that tour. They're all extremely confident in what they do. They don't compete with you at what you do. What happens is it forces us to compete with ourselves to be the best we can be. Zach is being Zach as best as he ever can be. We're all helping each other to push all sorts of aspects of being professional, to stage appearance, to communication, to playing, to offstage etiquette.
That's a really kind of valid point. And
I like that.
Yeah, I think that maybe, I mean, he knows this, and from a marketing perspective, when you market a tour like that, there's that element of competitiveness in there, right? You want to go and see the G3 tour, or in this case, Generation X, because you want to see your heroes all bash it out on stage together, so you can say who won the battle, who won the duel. And at its core, it's he's totally right. It's not that they're so confident in their playing that there would never be that need to get up and try and outplay Steve Vai tonight. Because when Malmsteen gets up to play, he's not trying to outplay Steve tonight. He's trying to outplay Malmsteen from last night.
Yes.
No interest in the competition side of things.
He's not trying to win other people's fans. He's trying to win his fans.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah, and that's kind of cool. I'll just throw this as a final comment. There's no point competing in that scenario though, guys, because Zach Wilde was on that tour, so Zach Wilde wins. I just love him so much.
You do. At least you acknowledge the bias.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, some more Steve Vai news. Steve Vai postpones his tour due to another surgery. That was 5 days ago. This was put out. Guitar legend Steve Vai has been forced to postpone his planned tour of North America until the fall. The run had been set to begin later this month. A press release explains that Vai had surgery on one of his shoulders approximately a year ago, and while the operation was successful, a new injury to an unspecified part of the body now requires surgery. If I remember correctly, Vi had also been teaching himself just to play with his left hand because his right arm was gubbed. So he can definitely still do the tour. He's just been a lazy bastard.
I don't think you can get up and do the whole tour with the one hand.
You can. Stop being lazy, Steve. Vi shares, I'm gutted we have to move the tour, but I also know it's in the best interest for us and the fans that we do.
Yeah, don't care about the new dates. But
it was quite a lot of fucking dates, to be fair. Was that like 30 dates?
It's nice to not be told COVID because COVID. We're
Why?
used to it being because COVID. So
Why is the tagline to the photo of him Symphonies of Sickness?
yeah, it's
He doesn't play in Carcass.
because sometimes metal sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry guys, if you're looking forward to going to seeing Steve Vai, I've got more bad news for you. The dates aren't going to be when you're expecting them to be, but you're also still going to have to go and see Steve Vai. So.
Yeah.
Not for me.
I think I'd like to see Vi for the sake of seeing him.
Yeah.
I would watch him play Lotus Feet and For the Love of God,
Sure.
maybe a couple other tracks, but there is not a lot of instrumental guitarists I would go and see anymore. Gone are the days.
I hope that when I say stuff like that, and then when we say things like this, that people listening to the show understand that it doesn't matter that I don't like Steve Vai. And when I say things like that, like, haha, you're going to have to go and see Steve Vai. If you're annoyed by that, do you think I'd be annoyed if you turned around to me and said, haha, you're going to have to go and see Zach Wilde? No, not even in the slightest. I'm going to go see Zach Wilde and have a great time. You go see Steve Vai and have a great time. I'll just think less of you because of it.
It just comes with the territory of being a guitar soul.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Doesn't it?
And I've seen Steve Vai multiple times, so
I've never seen Steve. I've never been to G3. But I've seen Satch multiple times.
not worth it.
So I think I've actually seen Zach. I have seen Zach Wilde. Have I seen Zach Wilde?
I've seen Zach a couple of times.
That's a good point.
And I'd like to go see Zach again, please. Totally not happening with the Aussie shows, though. I'm just going to keep putting that one down there.
Yeah.
Those Aussie shows are never happening. If you have tickets for those, Andy Torrance, get your fucking money back. Those tours are not happening. And if they do happen, as time progresses, you want them to happen less and less. You want to see Ozzy in the prime of his life, and that was 20 years ago. As days go by, those shows' quality will go down and down and down. And he's my hero.
You're such a skeptic.
Yes, I have.
So yeah.
Often proved to be right, but so when we were young festival, we got the two. This was when we were young, wasn't it?
Yes, this is the main story, really. I think, right? So, will I just give my TLDR of it?
There's actually an additional story for that I should probably bring up. So when we were young is
a festival that has a flyer has come up on Facebook, and if you use Facebook or the internet and you know anyone who was ever into pop punk or might be a nonce, you've probably seen this poster.
I'm going to bring up the red
That's
for
really
filth
good.
that I sent to Naomi over this one. Where is it?
So,
Let's bring this up.
oh, that's a badging, man.
Yeah.
That's a right badging. So, this gig is every band you can imagine squeezed into one day. And the flyers went viral because everybody's interested. There's a couple of spin-offs towards that make it a bit more interesting. So at first is this post, which is a complete shit post, but obviously it's got people stirred up. This is Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance today. He's 44 years old. He made about $30 million off your teenage angst. No, he made $30 million off his music from his teenage angst.
No, I don't agree with that.
No, he's going to be leaving that festival and staying at the Empathy Suite at Palms Casino Resort, which is $100,000 a night, while you've emptied your Chime card to fly out to Vegas and relive your MySpace days. Don't do it. Give it up. It's over. Take that money. Pay a therapist. Go and get a job. It's time. Your parents are tired of paying your rent. I mean, what I would say about Gerard Way is, as much as I don't like My Chemical Romance, they have worked very hard.
Sure.
And as you see in this photo where he's standing with the umbrella,
Academy.
Academy Corporation, his Netflix series that he wrote.
Did you watch that?
I watched it. It's fucking really good. That's why he's
Oh, okay.
linked to it. It's his
Right, okay.
thing. Did you watch it?
No.
Surprisingly good.
Sure.
So, like, even the characters were actually alright.
I've got a list of like 20 TV shows which I know are all excellent that I
Same.
need to sit and watch, but I cannot commit any time to them.
Yeah, that's why you need to quit your job and just watch.
Instead,
The
I'm
Wire.
just watching The Sopranos again.
Fair, but next you actually need to watch The Wire because it's better than Sopranos, and that's just fact. Sorry.
I've tried this. I've tried The Wire a couple of times, and every time, like 3 or 4 episodes in, I'm like, no.
Because it's slow burner.
Yeah.
Very much so. Even the first season's kind of slow burner because it's just kind of set in the state of, cool, this is we're here.
Yeah. One
Baltimore.
One day.
That's it.
So yeah, this
one
is
day
the,
you will be the bunk. You will be a strictly suit and tie motherfucker.
Yeah.
One day. Anyway,
this is the When We Were Young festival. It's so popular that they've had to add a second day after the first one sells out.
fact of the matter is, there was about 100 bands on that one fucking flyer. So there's no way they would have fit all of them on with any safety or understanding if they didn't have 2 days.
Let's just
Second day added, same lineup. So what they actually meant was, we didn't have enough time for everyone we said we were going to book.
no, same lineup.
As in
If
they're playing.
they're not splitting the bands across 2 days. They're having the same bands play over 2 days so they can sell it to more people.
So they're going to have 2 sets.
Yeah.
Each band. Well, okay.
Yeah. So let's just reel off some of these bands.
Live Nation, eh? Who says that they take people over profits? Yeah. You've got My Chemical Romance and Paramore headlining. I don't know as much. I don't imagine Hayley Williams is going to be doing much with Paramore. She does her own solo stuff these days.
Yeah, but a Paramore thing. I mean, I'm surprised actually that Paramore fits as high on the bill there as, say, Avril Lavigne. I feel like Avril Lavigne is a much bigger draw than Paramore. Am I wrong on that?
And this genre of music, probably not. She probably
Right,
fits
okay.
quite well with the kind of skater punks because she had skater punk stuff before. But I think Avril's much more famous in, like, is it Japan or China or whatever? There's like multiple dubbed versions of her songs in different
Right.
languages. Where I'm pretty sure it's Japanese. But she ends up, as far as I know, she's got like a crazy big following. There's a bit of a weird combination of bands on this lineup here. You've got like 303 who are, as far as I know, like that kind of scene, big hair, dancey in between, as well as rocky. Dance Gavin Dance, who are by all accounts mathcore. Alkaline Trio, that are punk. AFI, who are kind of punky. Like, where do you start? You know what I mean? There's so many names on this fucking poster.
Yeah, it's
I would have actually thought that Bring Me Horizon would have been up the top because as far like
they're huge. Yeah.
aye, compared to like Paramore and My Chemical Romance, they're probably the most active big band on the poster.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying My Chemical Romance is definitely the big draw there.
Yeah.
I know Paramore are popular, but I didn't think that they were like sideline My Chemical Romance billing, because that's how this has been billed here. They have been put on equal footing with My Chemical Romance, and what? They're
So-
big, but they're not that big.
What I do notice is that there's one band missing for the poster. I
Yes.
Set My Friends on Fire.
So
No.
tell the story.
So essentially, I know the name of the band, Set My Friends on Fire. I don't know any of their music. I don't really know much about them, but they have created probably one of the best daft, natural or organic advertising campaigns and marketing campaigns that you could ever think of. So I set my friends on fire, put a fake post on their Facebook or whatever it was. At first it was a Photoshop, like a CNN page where they had apparently fired one of their guitarists for using an Android phone, and that it caused Samsung's market share to plummet 40% or something. So quite clearly a really stupid premise, Photoshop. Ha ha ha, that's quite good, clickbaity. They also noticed that the When We Were Young poster went out, but nobody had bought the domain name. So they jokingly...
That's not strictly true. The official domain name is what's the name of the festival?
When We Were Young.
So the official website is whenwewereyoungfestival.com, and they bought whenwewereyoungfest.com.
Right, okay, well, you get what I mean. Like, anyone that could link to it. And I think for the sake of paying a couple of quid for a domain name, and then making it out as if it's some sort of spiteful thing, like, you didn't include us in your gig, so we're going to steal the website, has somehow turned into having them actually on, like, front pages of fucking CNN and Yahoo News or whatever it is. It's mental. And even though it's all in jest, it still kind of raises a point of, well, actually, the market can speak for itself sometimes.
Yeah.
If you want something, you could probably make it yourself. And they put a statement out, which I think is fucking tremendous. So this was from their Facebook, talking about the last week, considering things were going up. This has been the craziest week we've had as a band in years. This was never about being on a festival we didn't get invited to. This was all about finding a way to expose the fact that the big bad clique of agents and promoters that runs the industry isn't ever so powerful after all. We never actually cared about being on the festival, and if you look into it for 2 seconds, it should be pretty obvious the tantrum was a joke. We literally went from photoshopping a fake CNN article to actually being on the front page of Yahoo News within 2 days. Press outlets that have turned down every press release we've sent out regarding our band in the last 10 years were dying to be the first on the story. Our Spotify numbers doubled overnight. We've had over 20 million impressions across social media in the last week. Our tour coming up next week is the best-selling tour ticket-wise we've had since 2011. All from spending a couple bucks on a URL versus the 5 or 6 figures we'd have to spend on social media ads to get that reach. I'm sure we've clogged up your news feeds a lot this week, and I'm sure it's been annoying.
Didn't see it at all.
I mean, you're not really involved. Like, every second post I've got on my Facebook is something to do with this fucking When We Were Young festival. I'm sure we've clogged up your feeds a lot this week, and I'm sure it's been annoying, but we hope we've been able to make you laugh along the way. Yeah, we'll probably never have another AP article written about us, and we'll probably never get booked by Live Nation again, but that's fine, because those things weren't going to happen anyway. Too many people in the industry take themselves way too seriously, and at the end of the day, everyone needs to laugh a little more, especially in this day and age. Stop fearing the man. Just find a way to beat them at their own game. And then they've signed it off.
Yeah. I do like this. I like that kind of stop fearing the man, find a way to beat them at their own game. Don't take the part about the agents and promoters that run the industry, that they're not so powerful after all. They are like, just because one band managed to break through that and will be pushed back into obscurity again in a couple of weeks, that is not a sign that those people don't still have a stranglehold on the industry and aren't infinitely powerful.
Maybe they could have worded it better and basically saying that when people come together, they can be stronger than what's been put in place. It doesn't mean that because of the power structure in place, you couldn't take the reins. If every band decided they were going to be setting what bands are playing, then it would be a different scenario completely. Yeah, but just sees the means of power. It sees the means of
I knew he was going there.
Just get unionised, whatever else, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I started off, my first comment was almost an absolutely perfect, straight away started slagging politics. So
yeah. It's you, so you are.
Started you mean to go on.
So good work on that one. I set my friends on fire.
Yes.
I just thought I'd check this though. Live Nation addresses safety concerns over When We Were Young festival.
In just a few short days, When We're Young has become one of the most buzzworthy events of 2022. Set to be headlined by My Chemical Romance and Paramore, the festival has sparked some safety concerns since it was announced earlier this week. So Live Nation have released a statement addressing what potential attendees have been saying.
You don't need to worry about people turning up to the When We Were Young festival and getting hurt, because this is all emos, so they'll be turning up and voluntarily hurting themselves. That's
as long as it's only over 16s that go, everybody be safe. Upon realising that When We Were Young is being organised by Live Nation, fans have been expressing their worries on the internet, particularly the fact that Live Nation also organised the catastrophic Astroworld festival that occurred in Houston this past November. The entertainment company is currently under investigation and facing several lawsuits as a result of the tragedies that occurred during the Texas event. When we were young, Fest looked pretty cool until you notice it's $225 non-refundable for one day, and it's run by the same company who's responsible for Astroworld, and you realise they're actually just preying on the pop punk scene to pay back their litigation fees, one user wrote on Twitter. The entirety of Emo America, or even possibly Emo Overseas, fighting to get to the front of an MCR Paramore show is Astroworld Part 2 waiting to happen. Read a screenshot of another post that has circulated. See some of the tweets below.
So let's take the statement.
Yeah. The safety of fans, artists and staff is thoroughly planned for among event organisers and in coordination with local authorities, Live Nation wrote in a statement in response. Lot of shite. We've seen a lot of excitement around the festival and we look forward to putting on an incredible event for all the fans this October. We encourage fans to check the festival website and socials for all the latest updates. Set times will vary, with earlier bands having shorter sets and the headliners having the longest. You don't say. The company continued, for many festivals it's typical for era acts to have 20 to 30 minutes, while headliners often perform longer, closer to 45 to 60 minutes or more. Again,
Yeah, it doesn't actually address any of the actual concerns, does it? Because
it doesn't.
I think it's just it's going to be an inevitability. You're going to see things like Astroworld happening more and more and more when you have My Chemical Romance. Not for me at all, but one of the most important bands of an entire generation. They're definitely one of the most important bands.
Yep.
They've not done anything for forever, is my understanding, right? So
yeah, they split for a while.
Yeah, so to reunite, this isn't like a local gig. This isn't a tour whereby they'll be doing 100 dates. This is one date that people from all over the world will travel to try and go to. The most rabid fans are going to be at this to see My Chemical Romance. You are fucking asking for trouble, and I don't know how you address safety concerns like that, short of not being safe, short of having armed guards there saying fucking step back or you're taking a bullet in the head, or having a seated event.
You just don't try and put 300 bands on in one day.
It's not, take the 300 bands out of the equation, right? If it's just My Chemical Romance, just a My Chemical Romance show, one My Chemical Romance show in Vegas, you're going to have the same problem. It's still dangerous. It's one show. My Chemical Romance could put on one show in Vegas, just one show with $300 tickets, and sell 50,000 tickets to it, and it's going to be fucking dangerous. And I just don't know how you address that.
But that's an argument you'd have to make about any large-scale festival event.
I am making that.
Fair enough. In the same way that it's not happened before by the bands and the artists, the teams who are booking it, and the fans all being responsible. I went to see Rage Against the Machine in London at Finsbury Park after they won the fucking, Christmas number 1 and whatever else, and they stopped the gig several times because people were trying to surge forward.
Yeah. But
they kept stopping the music and saying, push back or we're going off stage.
Sure.
So the band put a big emphasis on controlling that.
Yeah.
As did obviously the organisers, as did the security and the event staff at the front barrier, as did anybody that was probably watching to see if there were parts where people were being crushed or falling or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be a robust approach. And unfortunately, Live Nation basically just went the same as like BP Stillwater. We're sorry.
Yeah.
It'll be all right, don't worry.
Yeah. I think that My Chemical Romance is probably a slightly more exaggerated version of the Rage Against the Machine thing. Rage Against the Machine fans and people that went to see that show were happy that the Christmas thing had happened. I don't think you're going to see the same level of rabid, emotional fan base as you will for My Chemical Romance, that will do anything in their power to get as close to Gerard Way as humanly possible.
Hark the stampede of 1 million angry 30-year-old emos.
Yeah. It's going to be a dangerous one.
It's like just a cloud of pink and black.
It's also going to be incredibly dangerous for people's wallets. It's going to be an expensive one. So have fun with that one. Speaking of dangerous for the wallets, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs. Absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string. I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. Please do go and give them some love and attention. They deserve it. They're good people, and we appreciate them being good people. Yes. I need to actually, after this, go on to like Amazon. I need a trolley. I need like a trolley that I can put my amps on.
Mm-hmm.
Because gigging in at the Butterfly and Pig, you can't park there. There's no good places to park in that area of Glasgow. I have to park further afield and then take my gear to the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing for that, a trolley. It's all well and good that I've got this lovely little the G20
gig bag.
It's nice and small.
Mm-hmm.
Comes in a gig bag, but of course I've got a wheeler 2x12 with me. So
if you're going to do that, it might be worth getting some elasticated ratchet straps as well.
Yeah.
Or, tie bands.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm pretty sure if you go down to like the range or something, you'll find a trolley or like a folded one or whatever.
Yeah.
Up the back of B&M, probably too.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
No.
But you can get fairly cheap ones.
Mate, I'm just my return to playing live music it's My Chemical Romance, right? It's not about doing a job. It's about like I have a good career, I have a good business now. I can spend money on things and just do things for doing things' sake. I spent more money on the pedal board for these gigs than the gigs will ever make. I got really good in-ear monitors just in case. Won't be using them at Butterfly and Big, but I've got them just in case.
I think it's a wise investment. Yeah. It's always the same. I don't know how much money I've spent buying guitars thinking that I might eventually get to use these guitars and amps and stuff on stage, and it's took a long time, but I'm here now. Almost.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe years from now, I'll be the one watching people get crushed to death at one of my gigs. Mike, until next time.
Step back. You're on top of me. Please. You're killing me. I'm dying. Please, Travis, stop it.